back to Eskimo Brothers Reviews. We are doing No Country for Old Men today for episode 20, which is the 2007 film starring Tommy Lee Jones and Javier Bardem and Josh Brolin.
I'm Shadowman0050.
And nobody cares. So let's continue. Let's see, we have... First, before I do the summary, let me just say that it was pretty cool how you have... So it takes place in the year 1980 in West Texas, and two of those three stars, Tommy Lee Jones and Josh Brolin, are both Texas boys. Which is perfect because, they have the accent and maybe they might have that sort of, don't mess with Texas attitude and kind of, larger than life personality and lifestyle. So that was pretty good casting by them, so I did appreciate that. But this was probably the third time I've seen this film and Shadow Man's first time. So I'll just do a quick little summary and then we'll discuss it more in detail. So pretty much Josh Brolin's character, Llewellyn, he's out hunting and he kind of stumbles upon a crime scene. It's like a drug deal that went bad. So he's just kind of looking around at all these bodies, and then he just happens to find some money. He finds a briefcase full of cash. And so you'll see later on, he's not like a real wealthy guy. So he takes the cash and goes back to his trailer. And that's kind of where the story begins. Pretty much the whole plot of the film is Josh Brolin's character has his cash and he is just trying to, do something with it. However, day by day more things pop up and there's more people after him trying to get this cash. So it's pretty much just him on the run, trying to find some way to just keep it safe and keep it away from the people or person that's trying to get him, pretty much. And before we get into it, was there anything else you needed to add or say about that?
No, not, well...
Or I guess, did you enjoy the film overall, or was it kind of what you expected?
It was not at all what I expected, actually. I really enjoyed there was like a cat and mouse chase element to it.
Yes.
With a third person also trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when this was... You said this was up against There Will Be Blood.
Yes.
For Best Picture. I did think this was the better movie, but I would not think... You said this one won.
Yes,
right?
This one Best
Picture. I would assume the Academy and all that would have picked There Will Be Blood.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt too, because I thought this was more for a general audience. It was, mm-hmm. I guess, kind of more clear to follow and understand, and maybe it was just the way the story went and the action and the length might have been a little better for just a general American audience. Yeah. But it's a win-win, whichever one you choose, as long as you like film. They're both really well done. Alright, so we'll start talking about some things that really caught my eye and that I really enjoyed. So the first thing you'll see is in the first scene. The first scene is pretty much Tommy Lee Jones's character just kind of talking, doing like a little bit of a monologue, and you just go through like scene by scene of this West Texas landscape. Wow, it's really nice. You have the contrast of the colors with the blue sky and the brown, orange, like dirt. You have a lot of like flat plains with also mountains in the background, and so overall, it was a perfect place to shoot this film. So that was the first thing that really caught my eye, was just the colors and the contrast and the scenery. And just the photography and videography in general was pretty nice with this. Very visually pleasing. Um, the yes, the dialogue, I thought, and I know Shadow Man thought as well, was very interesting because uh, there's quite a few humor elements involved. Like it's pretty serious, like dramatic film, but there's a lot more humor and comedy um, than you would expect, and not just like not like it's a certain type of like human comedy, like human interaction. It's not like something like set up and staged. It's just like how these people speak to one another.
Yeah.
And how it's real, and it's something that like that you would hear or have heard from relatives or spouses or friends or whatever. So I thought that was pretty realistic, both because you have the accents of the people and just the things they say to one another and just the way they do things overall. I thought was really interesting.
Also with the dialogue, I noticed there was a couple times where there were like really long sections with no dialogue.
Yes.
There were long periods where no one was talking. You're just watching through the visual what's going on.
Which is good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that because you don't really get caught up in just nonsensical talk and just like filler, I guess filler dialogue that doesn't really belong or make sense. Javier Bardem was a very interesting character in this. I'd say this is one of the better roles that he's played in, and so Javier Bardem is one of the people who is trying to get this money back from Josh Brolin's character, and Javier's character, Anton Chigurh, is is someone who they don't really say. I don't know if he works for like a cartel or something. I think you could assume he works for a cartel or
This shows him
something along
in a
those
scene
lines.
with two other guys where he's clearly the boss.
Yeah.
So he's something.
Yeah, he's someone big, but
Yeah.
he plays it well. He's kind of a big lumbering guy. He's very quiet for the most part, but when he does speak, he has a very distinct, deep, low voice that kind of like demands respect. Like if I'm talking, like you're gonna listen.
Yeah.
Pretty much, and just pretty much very short sentences and like direct and to the point. But yeah, he mentioned the whole cat and mouse thing, not only referencing to like a physical chase, but also like dialogue between characters. Like it's like a power play type of thing where he's trying to show that he's in control and that like, he owns you pretty much, and he will get what he wants, no matter what, and you can't stop him. It's pretty accurate too. He's kind of a badass in this. It is. It's an intense film at certain points. There is a lot of injuries. Like there's so many scenes where someone is getting either shot or wounded in one way or breaking this, breaking that. There's a lot of blood, but it's not like excessive amount of blood. But for the injuries, there's quite a few. There's a lot of. I'm sure there's more examples I can't really find, but there seem to be a lot of like elements of luck in the film. So Josh Brolin's character just luckily just stumbles upon $2 million cash by accident, and Anton Chigurh, or Javier Bardem's character, he kind of, when he plays with these people, these small town country people, he sometimes he uses a coin and just tells them you're pretty much your life depends on this coin flip, like call it. And so I thought that was a pretty interesting aspect of the whole film in general as well, was that luck part.
I really liked Tommy Lee Jones's character. I wish we could have seen a little more of him, actually.
Yeah, yeah, that was yeah. The thing about this film,
But he's always great. So.
oh yeah, he always, always. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Now, this film, the main character is, I would say it's Josh Brolin's character, because from the very beginning you have, it's all about him and this money and how he's trying to get away from these people that want their money back. And towards the end, though, it kind of shifts more to Tommy Lee Jones, and it's just more about him. And I mean, the title is No Country for Old Men, and it's pretty much like Tommy Lee Jones's character as a sheriff is aging, and he has this dilemma, and he's trying to figure out, like, what can I do anymore? There's so much going on. I don't see myself as very, very helpful. Like, he's trying to do his best, but he's just overwhelmed. And it's not only him. It's other there's DEA agents. There's other police, like Texas Rangers, stuff like that are involved as well. So it's too much for them. But yeah, so I thought that was pretty interesting, the way that his character was throughout the whole film, and how important it was to the whole thing. Did you see anything you didn't really care for in this movie?
It did seem at the very beginning, when he was hunting Josh Brolin's character, when he took the shot, it was like a herd of antelope, I think.
Yeah.
It showed them running away. It was a horrible CGI, very fake looking shot. I was like, oh man.
Yes.
I was like, oh, I hope this is not an effects heavy movie.
Yeah, because I also noticed there was a point where someone sicks a dog on Josh Brolin, and he's trying to either get away from it or kill it or whatever, but you see it kind of lunge, and then you see the next scene is just a blatantly fake dog, just like he's like kind of almost like wrestling with for a second, and then it goes to the ground. But I was like, oh, that's not good. So yeah, it's a good film, a little over 2 hours, but it's there are some bad parts, like there's the CGI effects. What I didn't really care for, do you remember like the music or the score or anything like that?
It wasn't really memorable.
Yeah.
No.
I just know I did not like the ending credit score. But in terms of music in general, I don't know how much there was, because I don't remember much.
Yeah, it didn't.
If you don't remember much,
It didn't stand out.
No. So and I think, and I know Shadow Man probably as well, think that's pretty important to a film. Like, it affects your emotions and your feelings and kind of like sets up the scenes to know like what you're looking for, what to expect. And there's none of that in this one. Another thing I didn't really like was how this happens multiple times, where a scene will start and things will go on, and it'll just fade to another scene. And I don't like scenes fading to other scenes. To me, it doesn't look right. It just doesn't look good to me. And then for it to happen so many times in this film, and a lot of times it just kind of happened where it seemed like there was maybe more to a scene, but it was just like edited out for time, or just didn't like make sense. But with these scenes changing and shifting like that, it kind of made it more, I don't want to say confusing, because it wasn't really a confusing film, but just not as straightforward as it could have been, and not as clear cut as it should have been, or could have been, I guess. But that's just what I thought. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I only play one on YouTube.
There was one problem I saw, like when it shows the little station where you cross the border between the United States and Mexico. It first shows it from the American side.
Yeah.
and then it shows him like walking away from the border. Obviously, he has crossed it. How do you cross a border like that through the station, bleeding, as the character was? Like, he was obviously needing some help.
Yeah.
Because he didn't get those other clothes to the other side.
Yeah, and so the Mexico side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. I haven't had to cross the Mexican border at all. I know you've been there, but it was
Flew in.
flying. Yeah, so I don't know. From what I've heard from people is that you can kind of get into Mexico easy, but getting back into the U.S. is a little more difficult. So I don't know if, you know, you just kind of pass the American side, you know, tell them, hey, see ya, and you just kind of keep going, and then, you know, in this film, he kind of, it's the middle of the night or something like that, and he goes up to, like, the Mexican portion, I guess, patrol station or whatever you would say, and it's just like a single guy, kind of like, almost like half asleep, just kind of like leaning back, and it just kind of like gives him a look, you know, shows him his beer, kind of just like he's just some drunk guy just walking around, and the guy kind of gives him another stare, but ultimately just kind of lets him be. But, and this also takes place in 1980, so I don't know if that was normal, or what it was back then. But
Yeah, I don't know.
because I know crossing into Canada, I did that 2004, 2005, something like that, and, you know, just all these questions, and, you know, let's take a look around at the car, and there's all kinds of stuff you had to get through just to get into Canada. So, yeah, I don't know. Things change. I don't think I have anything else about this film, except that I do recommend if you haven't seen it. There's kind of thriller, kind of drama, some action. Yeah, some humor, and it's just,
I don't know what genre I'd put it in.
yeah, it's,
I guess I'd say action.
yeah, it's a pretty broad one, so that would definitely fit.
That's probably the one I would associate it with the most.
Yeah, and I would say, even if you aren't really interested in like action films, like this did win Best Picture 2007. The characters in this film are interesting characters. Like, they're different, and they're played very well. But yeah, I'd say definitely check it out. So next is episode 21, and that will be Shadow Man's pick. So what do we got going on here?
Episode 21, I think we'd go back to Stephen King.
Okay.
What better episode 21 than 1922?
1922. I don't know really anything about that. I've heard of it. That's all I know. Does it happen to be on a streaming service?
I do. It is on Netflix, as far as I know.
Okay, nice. Yeah, so I'm personally a big Stephen King fan, so I'm excited for this. Can you give us any hints? Is it like a mystery? Is it a thriller?
It's Stephen King.
Stephen King comedy. All right.
Yeah.
Stephen King stand-up comedy, 1922. All right. Well, that'll be it for us today. Thanks again for watching, and we hope you return for episode 21.
Don't forget to unsubscribe.
Yeah.